one of the most common mistakes or reactions that I see to resistance when I train my clients is their perceived reaction to stress, which they view as involuntary, but what is ultimately voluntary. So what I mean by that is that give a client a weight to hold to do a particular exercise, and I'll explain the exercise and I'll let them know how many, create a framework around the particular movement about how many reps such and such that we should do. And so they internalize that and they immediately relate to what I'm telling them as stressful. So before the exercise actually becomes stressful due to the resistance and the movement that they're given, they're already participating in cueing that is causing them to fail during the exercise. So in other words, some of the cues are, it's a head up, chin out posture, the chest up posture, which causes their pelvic to move more into an anterior pelvic tilt, which ultimately takes them out of the best position to perform the exercise. Now, these cues would be normal under stress that was elicited from the movement itself. So in other words, they're beginning this cueing. They're also, their heart rate raises, their breath. They start to breathe very deeply and labor. Their breathing becomes labored, and for a variety of reasons. One is they view everything as intensity all the time, which is one. And another one is that they worry, they become fearful that they won't be able to complete the task at hand, thus causing them to go through this cueing process, which kills the movement. Now, if you're able to control the movements, which ultimately are voluntary, though viewed involuntarily, you have a much better chance and there's a much greater success rate. And I've seen clients far surpass original loads and rep numbers when they control these factors. So today I'm going to show you an example of a stress lunge and a more relaxed lunge. So a lot of times, now this is very common too, and it has to do also with posturing. So we're taught all the time that when we are to perform particular exercises, that we must have this really upright posture, right? There's always good posture when we're doing these exercises. The fact of the matter is that when you move into that posture, it takes you out of the position to do the exercise well, and it takes away your ability to ground yourself. You're not in the moment anymore. You're not in your body anymore. So when we do a lunge, and bear with me because my video team is out today, so I gotta do it myself. So here we are in this position. I hope you can see this. So if I were to instruct someone in a lunge, normally what someone might do is they take this really upright posture and their head is up and they're looking straight ahead and they have this proud chest and they step back, and what happens? Boom. Butt moves out, anterior pelvic tilt, chest opens, head up. I'm not connected to the exercise anymore. So I'll give you an example of the position that I like to take, which really helps to solidify the movement and actually helps you to target the muscles which we're trying to target. Let's just say we're trying to target our legs, but this counts for every exercise that we do. So what I might do is, first thing I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna ground myself with my breath, take an exhale, transfer weight onto the working leg. Now I'm gonna look down. When I look down, it keeps me in the moment, and it also accentuates my grounding on the working leg, which is my left leg. I just might step back, take a small step, breathe. Notice my body position, completely in a slouch position, and I stand, completing the movement. Again, so I step back, totally relaxed position, and just step up and stand. Now, of course, there's many variations on this particular movement, and they may change depending on the load that you're carrying. So the problem with today's view around exercise is that all the movements are performed as if you are carrying a maximal load. This is wrong. I'll just say this straight up. This is wrong. You don't need to move in a particular way when you're carrying a light load opposed to a heavier load. And the fact of the matter is, especially when you have a new client or you're training someone new or you're doing an exercise for the first time, you should move in a much freer manner instead of that very restricted, locked out manner that you might do with heavier weights. It doesn't give you the opportunity to get to know the exercise and get to know yourself.